Hello, everyone. This is Greg Vidic. I'm your presenter today. Welcome to the Apprenticeship Navigator. This is the fifth in our webinar series. We'll spend 15 minutes today in presentation about the apprenticeship vision. At the conclusion, we'll have 15 minutes or so for Q&A. You're welcome to hold your questions until then or type them in the provided communication tab. Next month's webinar on June 19th will feature youth apprenticeships. All the webinars will be recorded and will be found on the Georgia Mountain Works website apprenticeship page, and there's a QR code on this presentation for your immediate access. Quick review, we're specifically discussing registered apprenticeships, where your full-time employee is trained both in school and on the job. Apprentices can be recruited as new employees or from your existing employees. Apprentices are your employees, and they are focused on particular trade or skill sets as determined by the company. While there are thousands of apprenticeships available, many of which can be discussed and implemented locally, the 6 that are listed here are currently active at Linear Tech and North Georgia Tech. Usually, your technical college acts as the apprenticeship sponsor, and that takes a lot of work and red tape off of you, the employer. For example, they handle all the USDOL interfacing. Today's program is the vision. When you think vision, imagine peering into a crystal ball to see your view of the future. In our scope of workforce development, the apex is apprenticeships. Bachelor's degrees and beyond are needed for certain careers, but not included in our scope. The vision you see here, as we see it, can be worded like, we have a flow of qualified people available and sufficient to support our continuing needs. So what would it be like if your company bought completely into this vision? What would it be like if your company and all the companies in your region bought into this vision? Now, what would it be like if all the companies and all the schools and all the chambers and all the development authorities bought completely into the vision? Well, you'd have an influx of applicants from high school graduates that have already identified hands-on aptitudes, have some skills, training, certifications, and a desire to increase their skills with your company for a career. You'd already have apprentices that have completed and were certified and even ready to mentor your employees, and an influx of new graduates ready to commit. Your pipeline would be highly skilled, cyclic, and with a continuing flow of qualified people available and sufficient to support your continuing needs. You would own and control your workforce development pipeline. Today, we're going to vision together about an intentional, influenced, and established flow of qualified people for your business. Remember, though, we can't do this in a silo. This vision is macro and micro, applying equally to our region, our county, our community, and our company. The vision invites all of us to participate at any and all levels to shape and influence our workforce development. Next slide. It's a given that we produce products and services. But consider that we must first produce skilled, qualified people who can then produce the products and the services for our customers. In business, we're driven to think in terms of a supply chain. For our materials supply chain, for example, we spend large amounts of money and resources to ensure that we've answered the questions about every possible step and influence on the chain. And we're urgent, strategic, and appropriate in our approach to them. And how do we think about human resource supply? Well, regardless of what we think, we don't always work like it's a supply chain. And we can, and we should. Once we adopt a vision, we want to make that vision a reality. So we set off on a mission. For workforce development, that vision might be stated something like build and optimize a workforce development supply chain with all its necessary elements. So when thinking about your workforce development supply chain, ask yourself questions like, do we understand our skill needs now, in the medium term, in the long term? How do we forecast them? Where does the supply chain start? Where does it end? How vertically integrated are we in the chain, or should we be? Do we know what the inputs are? How about at each step in the chain? What do we want to influence or change or do differently? What's our process structure? Is it standardized? Is it effective? How good is our outcome? Is it repeatable? What needs to be improved? In doing so, thinking like this, we shift our thinking and approach to we produce products and skilled people, or even better, we produce skilled people and products. Both, of course, are essential. Next slide. Okay. In our vision, apprenticeship is the apex. Apprenticeship programs have core elements. Each element has inputs and outputs, what goes into the program and what is realized from it. Apprenticeships are not meant to be a one-off, but rather cyclic, repeating, supplying a continuous flow of resources. Next slide. Okay. Let's review the elements of apprenticeship and their effect on the vision. Number one, business involvement. Businesses, school districts, communities, services, post-secondary education, all engaged. When so, they create alignment and consequently prepare people for industry. It's happened. It's happening. In our vision, could there be even more? Well, yeah, of course there can be, right? How regularly are we in the schools? Are we talking about youth apprenticeships and transitioning students seamlessly into our companies? Are apprenticeships happening in our companies? If we get involved and make improvement that meets industry needs, can our vision become reality? Number two, structured on-the-job learning builds technical skills. The mentor relationship in an apprenticeship builds trust between the mentor and the apprentice and the company and cements a mutual long-term relationship. Where there are apprenticeships, this is already happening. And in our vision, there can be more. Remember, the apprenticeship process is cyclic. Each mentor develops a relationship with apprentices. Apprentices learn and then become mentors, and so on. Also, it can start earlier, beginning before employment with high school work-based learning or internship experiences, further increasing the potential candidates for companies and their apprenticeship programs. Number three, related technical training and instruction. This happens usually in the technical colleges during the apprenticeship, but it can start earlier. It can start in high school with CTAE education and focused dual enrollment. And then it can continue after the apprenticeship. Use this to build on the interest of students and employees to further learning. This also attracts candidates. Could you be known as the company known for this? Could we in our region be so? Rewards, learn and earn. Use the mentoring and training process to support recognition. The progressive wage scale idea in apprenticeship is very important. It connects economics to learning and performance. This also builds apprentice confidence and supports retention, both of which can then be reinvested into your company. If you're already in the cyclic apprenticeship process, ask yourself, is reinvesting their learned skills and confidence an intentional part of our plan? Capitalize on this. As they grow, give them more. Then ask them for more and get more. If you have work-based learning students and interns, are you mentoring and communicating verbally and visually their opportunities for rewards with their skill gains? Connect this way early and often through recognition. Finally, apprenticeship completers are certified as journey workers by the U.S. Department of Labor. They have significant and valuable education, and they can take it further towards degrees and other certifications. They have a very high potential, which is often already being utilized and quickly leveraged for improved results and promotions. At that point, you're thinking, wow, this is happening. And then ask yourself, how do we take this success and further fuel the workforce pipeline? This ensures continuous improvement. Vertical integration. It's a key element in our vision of the workforce and apprenticeship supply chain. Let's start at the top. When considering apprenticeships, the US DOL tells us the deeper employers are engaged in the skill development learning cycle, the higher their chances to recruit, attain, and retain the right people. And it's basic probability math. The more young people you're involved with around career development, the better your chances that they choose you. And when you're involved in the shaping of the processes of their education and training along the way, your chances improve further. It's clearly an investment with a return to be seen in your workforce development pipeline success and ultimately in your business success. Remember, we are producing skilled people. Our school districts are aware of and actually actively working in this direction. Many Georgia Mountain Works companies are actively engaged. Others also. Thank goodness. The question, though, is how far each of us goes and needs to go to meet the vision. The more we engage with the people in the system, the higher the potential result. Again, apprenticeship is our apex. Each preceding level in this chain produces results that influence that process and its students and the levels beyond. So, how can or should we best participate to influence the process and the people towards the skills we need in our communities, our industries, and our company? As you're looking through these steps and the outcomes from each of the steps, you're probably thinking how far down you can go or need to go, or one that you would want to be involved in, or something that needs to be changed or utilized differently. And as you're thinking about each one of these, they're all a chance to improve the pipeline for you and for all of us. And when we all do this, imagine how we multiply the effect. Of course, we can focus at the top level and build a great apprenticeship program, and that's a big win. And when our candidates come from within our companies, it works really great. And that's often the case in the first few cycles. It's usually not too long, though, before we need to start to look outside of our organization for candidates. And this is where many apprenticeship efforts end. We're not really so engaged with the preceding levels in the supply chain, and we don't experience the successes we need. So we return to trying to hire skills from other employers. So let's view it at the macro level. When we do, we see that the raw materials for our regional workforce supply chain are here in the schools. They are our resources and our opportunity, and our responsibility as a community to develop. So looking at it from the micro view, we're challenged to maximize the workforce supply for the success of our business. So look, we end up with them as our employees anyway, skilled or unskilled. Let's develop them for the macro, our region, and the micro, our industry and company. Your overall vision of workforce development with apprenticeship at the top sets you on a mission. That mission will need an effective supply chain in order to be continuous and not a one and done. There are many options for you to engage in the different aspects of the supply chain, which we can discuss. What we need to consider is which levels of the supply chain are where we need to focus and how we will address that. Let's take a moment to create a vision and a mission for you specifically. A vision is your view of the future. Let's assume we all have the same vision right now. We said we have a flow of qualified people available and sufficient for our continuing needs. Next, we need a mission. A workforce development mission is individual to you and your company, and it includes what you need to accomplish. For example, obtain management buy-in to the vision, or capitalize on our existing leadership and apprenticeship or training structure. Understand our skill needs and our effectiveness in realizing them. Or fully understand CTAE education, work-based learning opportunities, and youth apprenticeship. With a mission, you can begin to set objectives and plan tasks, both that have meaning and purpose, like adding a meeting to my calendar to review the vision with management, or do a SWOT analysis of workforce development for our company. Maybe go back and watch the video on how to select an apprentice, or actually go and connect with the high school CTAE team and the work-based learning team. Food for thought as you develop your workforce development vision, mission, purpose, and objectives. Are you in the schools regularly? Are you talking about how you get youth connected and skilled and then transition seamlessly into your business? Are you discussing apprenticeships? Is your company known for apprenticeships and thereby attracting more talent? Are we stepping out of our micro silos? Are we treating workforce development pipeline as cyclic? Are you reinvesting the skills and confidence of your completed apprentices? And are they becoming mentors? Remember, improvement from self-reflection is very effective. Okay. That's our look at visioning, workforce development, and apprenticeship. What's the next step? As we've said before, we macro we and micro we need the skills. We need them now and for the foreseeable future. We encourage you to utilize this information to help you think about how to get going and then get going. As always, we invite you to reach out to us for assistance. Thank you, and we have reached the end of the prepared material.